Against the backdrop of a raging COVID epidemic and a quite visceral Black Lives Matter movement, Abroad While Black was born. Our goal was to highlight Black perspectives from all over the world. It was our way of proving there are other ways to live, other places to be successful, in different cultures that embrace our Blackness. In 2020, the Abroad While Black team created dozens of responsive hot takes and thoughtful interviews covering topics ranging from current events, business opportunities, dating, and life-changing moments. In 2021, our co-hosts Cordy and Shaun aim to share more success stories, more productive introspection, and most importantly, how to relocate to a place that truly values what you offer the world. Abroad While Black is more than a show. This is a social experiment hell-bent on discovering new ways to secure the bag and live our best lives. Join the Abroad While Black squad. Hello, AWB squad. We're back together again. My name is Shaun Burrows. I'm the CEO of Burrows Enterprises, co-founder of Ingressive for Good, and my goal in life is to build an economic bridge between Africa and her diaspora. My focus areas are operations, tech, and investment. So, now that we got that out of the way, what we're focusing on today is Black History Month. Now, as you all know, I'm coming Black History late to be coming out with my first piece of content this late in the month, but I was mentally pulled in a couple of different directions. There was this theme that I couldn't quite put together, and when I did, it was like, perfect. There were two major themes. And the two major themes that I'm going to cover today, and I hope you guys take a little bit of value away from this, is number one, unapologetic Blackness in our Black History Month, and also not only being unapologetically Black, but instead of focusing on, let's say, our Black history, I think we need to pay more attention or give more credence to our Black present. Not only that, our Black present and our not too distant Black history. And I'm going to dive into that and exactly what I mean by that. So what I'm basically saying is that Black History Month has a flair for nostalgia, so to speak, that often leads us to overlook the heroes of today. I mean, we don't necessarily need to go back 50 or 100 years to be inspired by our success and our resilience. In fact, again, it may benefit us to look in the nearer term, in the not too distant past, and look at the progress of those people who have dedicated themselves to our progress. I can't today ask Frederick Douglass, like, hey, what do you think about the condition of Black people today? I can't call Fella and say like, hey, how do you think we should end SARS? Like, these options are not available. And I think we would do ourselves a better service of looking at the people we have available today. So for part one of my Black History Month post, I'm paying homage to men. I'm focusing on men. Don't worry, part two is women. But today I'm focusing on men who are unapologetically Black and have dedicated decades to acting in our best collective Black interests. And before I jump in there, I want to go ahead and start with an honorable mention, an exhibit A, so to speak. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look into the future. I'm going to be one of the first people to speak upon the impact of the one and the only Deion Sanders, aka Primetime, aka Coach Prime, for the Jackson State University. The I love, my alma mater. So first of all, congratulations on Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime's first game and a victory, 53-0 over Edward Waters College. Edward Waters, they got mollywopped. They got they sorry behind Slewfoot Sammy. Like that was a whooping. I mean, and of course, Edward Waters is an HBCU, so I say everything that I'm saying respectfully, with all due respect. They kicked off in y'all hind parts. Let's just let that be that. But the reason why I bring that up is that we are looking at one man who is making great strides to change the entire way that we are going to be addressing black sports, black collegiate sports in particular. If you look at the way that the recruiting class at Jackson State has improved, the way that Deion Sanders is leveraging his celebrity, his success, and contributing it to the people behind him to give them away, to push them up. So now we're paying attention. Like, black people are paying attention. Young black athletes are paying attention. And we're now starting to get some of those top rated recruits to come to our school and to come to other HBCUs. And I know there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction within the powers that be to protect the power that they have. I would do the same thing if it was me. But I think that hopefully, or what I'm praying for, is that there is going to be a critical mass where we understand that at some point you're making money off what our bodies do. You're making money off of us. So, as long as we're able to perform at a high level and prove to you that we can perform at a high level, we don't necessarily have to play your game, because we all know everything's funneling up to the NFL. Collegiate sports, they make a lot of money, but there's different ways they can make money. And while we're transitioning into black people realizing their power in collegiate sports through not only what they can do with their bodies, but what we as the fans can do with our dollars, you're going to start to see a shift. I've called it out. I am the first one to say it in these terms. Mark these words, share it with your friends, because this is the good news I'm preaching to y'all today. I'm preaching the sermon of Coach Prime. Give them. Hey, I'm happy today. I was really happy. All right, so let's refocus and jump back into people who are unapologetically black for this month's history lesson. The first person I'm gonna jump out and throw out there, numero uno. You know what we're doing here today, folks. The first person I'm gonna mention is Shaun King. There should be no surprises there. It's like if Martin and Malcolm got together and had a light-skinned baby, it would be impossible and horrible. But it would also be Shaun King. And I must say, with just following him, I recently started following Shaun King on social media. If you don't do that, please follow that man, support that man. Because again, if I died today, probably one of my regrets, I don't have many, if any, but I can say I would regret not doing more to support our modern day activist. Knowing the pressure he goes under, knowing the opportunities that are the nefarious opportunities being thrown at him for one, and the ones being denied to him. Looking at him, he's not a new name. I've heard Shaun King in the struggle for years, for over a decade. This man has been in there putting blood, sweat, and tears into the activism that is acting on behalf or benefiting so many black people. And again, the goal is now just the way that I see, do you know who invented the stoplight? All praise. We thank you for the stoplight and open heart surgery and the Underground Railroad. I do. I'm not trying to disrespect any of my ancestors. I would never do that. But what I'm saying is, today you have a person who is going through the struggle. And if we don't find ways to recognize those type of people now while we have them alive, we cheat ourselves. So, and what I love about Shaun King is he's a normal guy. It's not like he came from a platform of I was an actor, I was an athlete. This is your next door neighbor who drew his line in the sand and said, I've had enough. I'm going to call out. I'm going to speak truth to power. That's Shaun King. And again, it's almost like we have our own superhero. We have our own Clark Kent. And witnessing his activism, his platform, and his influence grow, it almost feels like we're growing up together. And again, I know that in 2021, I know I'm going to be starting now, today, with what I'm doing now, recognizing this young brother and doing more and seeing what I can do to support and throw my weight behind what he's doing. The little weight that I have, I want to lend some of that energy to Shaun King, and he deserves it. So that's the one that I can get away with. The rest of these just become increasingly spicy. Very spicy. Some you may or may not agree with. But let's just dive in. My next one is no surprise here. For all of y'all who know me from way, 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 way back, the name may surprise you, but my knowing of this person will not. And that next person is David Banner. David Banner. For any of you who are true hip hop heads, that early 2000s period, David Banner was probably one of the most ratchet Southern gangster. If you don't listen carefully, David Banner sounded very ignorant. And it was with me following his podcast, listening to different things he's saying, and even me just growing up as a man and going back and listening to some of his music, listening to the words. Like if you go back and listen to Cadillac on 22s. Cadillac on 22s, hola. Yeah. So go back and listen to that one. And again, it's a ghetto hymn. Again, it gives you a deeper respect and a segue into who he is now. And if you follow the content, I would say go back as early as you can and follow him now. And basically, you'll see that path of growth. He's always come across as he represents this black male aggression that so many of us are fearful to exhibit. Let me just go back a little bit and kind of explain. Number one, my true affinity to David Banner. David Banner, technically, when I became a fan of his, was far after, he kind of blew up. When he kind of rose up, had his time, and went down, I was on Kanye. I wanted to be a producer. Kanye West convinced me that I could be a producer. I'll get into that one a little bit later. But it was that vibe. And David Banner was a producer. So he was doing that. He was basically living my life. He was a black producer and he was an activist. I didn't realize it till Hurricane Katrina decimated the Gulf Coast. I think it was around 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. And to me, before that moment, David Banner again was just, he was the local rapper in the white van who got booed off stage at Jackson State University's homecoming. And fast forward 5 years, and it was like he ascended. He ascended into something, I'll dare I say, godly. The man ascended. And at this point, this is again post Hurricane Katrina, half the world I knew of that I could speak to was flooded and devastated. And one of the first men I saw was David Banner with Mississippi tattooed upon his back, knee deep in some swamp somewhere, just speaking the truth. He didn't try to sugarcoat anything. He didn't try to come with I played Hamlet at Cambridge. He just gave it to you straight. Like, he had the Southern twang. He used the slang that he used, and it was like you knew where he was from and you knew exactly who he was talking to. And it was like at that point, I viewed him in a different space. I viewed him as a completely different person. And the more I followed his content and the more I saw what type of vibe he was on, I was not disappointed. Again, he reached back and used a lot of his money to just help others. He's using his platform to help us develop our mindsets and change our perspectives in the way we approach, in many ways, being black, being a man. And basically he just laid it down in no uncertain terms what it meant to be a Southern black man. And if I could say he had these principles that he always preaches about, they're always hinged somewhere around educate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Get smart, get educated, pay attention to what you're pouring inside your brain. Get money. And again, it's not get money as in get rich, get wealthy or whatever, but like you have to provide, you have to support, you have to create value for your community around you. Get money. You understand what I'm saying? And another thing was protect family and uplift your community. And he was unapologetic and about the ways and the strategies he suggested that people go about in doing that. I would suggest you go back and listen to his album, The God Box. Again, it gets spicy. It's not for everybody, it's for us. So I don't expect everybody to like it. And for me promoting some of these things, again, I'm practicing being unapologetic in those who support me. Get the album, listen to it. Black American Men, I would say, yeah, follow that dude, see what he's talking about. The next person is I'm not gonna lie, like I don't know if he's not my favorite, but he almost comes across as one of the best black men in the world right now. And many of you guys, I don't know if you know Killer Mike, an ATL soldier. He's just been in the industry as an activist, as a musician, as an artist, run the jewels. Like there's just so many things, and this man has bars, my friends, bars. And I'm talking about, again, Killer Mike, Michael Santiago Render. To me, he represents the final form of black activism. When black Americans rose up in protest, I always supported it. And I was very apprehensive about any critiques I gave. Especially, I'm in Lagos, and I've participated in different protests and whatnot here. So I don't want anybody to think I'm being hypocritical. How do you say you don't like protesting, but you're out here protesting? It is what it is. But what I'm saying is that there's a two-part to it. You can't just protest and assume that change is going to happen. All I'm saying is that protesting in itself is not a solution. It draws attention to a problem. But there still needs to be, again, a solution. And to me, what it is it's the equivalent of the gazelle asking the lion to go vegan. That's how I look at protesting. Like, eating meat is bad for you. So you should stop eating meat. But the lion is like, no, why should I? I'll be nice. I won't eat you, but you can't stop me. You know what I'm saying? So like Killer Mike's approach to activism, in many ways, it attaches like this pre-segregation era business practices, and it combines it with leveraging like today's technology and resources. And to me, this equates to giving the gazelle opposable thumbs and a lightsaber. It kind of changes the entire conversation. You're not asking somebody to change something for you. You're actually changing it themselves and saying like either A, you can get in now, or B, you're going to have to deal with us differently. We have leverage. And again, what Killer Mike continues to do is challenge the black community to reimagine what our idea of success is. He's pushing us to value skills over lofty aspirations. One of the things I loved is that he broke down the power of local politics, and he was a huge supporter of like Stacey Abrams. So what you have is a person that is looking at things like when I say, again, value skills over lofty aspirations. He was breaking down and sharing things like, I remember when he broke this down to me, he was like, honestly, like there was a shortage of forklift drivers in the US. And if you know how the market works, demand versus supply, basically, if you have a high demand and a low supply, the price shoots up. So now you have people who are driving forklifts, little forklift. You drive this little truck, has a fork at the end, lifts boxes up or whatever. People doing that make 6 figures a year. And it's just because everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody wants to be famous. Nobody wants to work hard for their money anymore. So nobody ever looked at being a forklift driver. Any number of these other menial, I say menial, it's not menial. It's just like, it's not like one of those things where like I'm inventing something to change the world. No, like even if you invent something to change the world, there's going to be day-to-day repetitive tasks that is needed to be done for these things to be successful consistently. And there are just constant holes where people are just not looking for these jobs. And Killer Mike or Michael Render was basically saying, like, look into these spaces, look at these jobs. Us as a community, we need skill sets. We need to kind of tap back into this blue collar. We shouldn't be afraid of blue collar work, is basically what it comes down to. There's a lot of money in it. And a lot of people want to make money in a specific way. And it's the way that's flashy that's attracting everybody to try. I mean, again, I'm here. I'm recording a YouTube video, hoping that millions of people watch it and I get paid off of it. But I'm also in the background doing some real hard work. I'm also making sure that I find a way and a strategy to train 1 million African youth over the next 5 years. I'm over here also, trying to deploy $1 million in scholarship funding, connecting my community members to 5,000 jobs. So as much as I'm up here smiling and dancing at y'all, there's some hard work going on in the background. A lot of people are trying to do the show face and smile part, but there's nothing in the background. And I think, again, that's what Killer Mike is kind of pushing people back to. Like, have some substance. Like, do something that creates value in your community, for your community. Spend your money inside your community. And if I wasn't already a huge fan, when this man jumped into saying that basically he's starting his own Black-owned bank, he's just adding another level to Black Americans' ability to amass generational wealth. We need to support that. Again, if all the money that we're amassing is still going back to somebody else, like we're putting it in banks that don't belong to us, if you know how the bank works, we're stockpiling that money in somebody else's facility so they can help earn money, earn interest, invest, and do all these different things so they can make money off of it. And when they make that money, it doesn't come back to our communities. So again, if you go to a bank and say, I need to take out $200,000 now, they're going to say, you need to give us at least 2 days to get that money. And in your mind, you'd be like, well, it's my money. Why can't I take my money? Because again, this bank is using that money to make money. You see what I'm saying? So like, how about we just let somebody Black make that money, bro? Support Killer Mike for president. Anyway, so there's that one. The next one, I'm about to throw you guys a curveball. Again, unapologetically Black. Giving our people flowers while they still exist. I'm going to go ahead and throw Kanye West out there. I'm throwing Kanye West out there for a really real reason. Number one, I often feel like I'm the only one who understands Kanye West. I feel like I'm the only one who understands that the world does not have a space for Black genius. We don't. Like, I want you all to really, really think about it. When is the last time you've heard a Black person called a genius? I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, it is if they've taken an IQ test. That's the only way they can be called a genius. Now, if you go back in the It is the merit of the work that they have done that earns them the title genius. But when it comes to Black people, we don't get assigned that title. We don't meet the mark. Let me give you an example. So George Washington Carver. If you're a Black person and you've been following all these posts, perfect example. George Washington Carver made gas, plastic, and 100 other things out of a peanut. Just a peanut. But when you look at him, they'll call him the Peanut Man or whatever the thing they call him. They call him a really amazing inventor, all these other different things, but I don't know if I've ever heard him called a genius. And that's exactly what he is. Let me give you another example. For all my DC residents, well, no, that's Chicago, sorry. I moved around a lot. So for all my DC residents, the uneducated child of a slave, Benjamin Banneker, he went on to design the entire city of Washington, D.C., right? The entire floor plans where it's on the grid to a certain degree, but it's also made like a maze so people can't just run in and run out because it's also the nation's capital. So a very ingenious design. But Benjamin Banneker is commonly known as Thomas Jefferson's really smart friend who really liked to make almanacs, right? Like, he does not get called a genius. If you go and Google Black geniuses now, you're only going to see people who got really high on the IQ score. Again, there are others who are not held to such a defining thing when it comes to their genius. Let's see, for example, Albert Einstein, weird kind of whatever person. Nikola Tesla, very, very somehow person, very secretive, crazy, paranoid, all of those different things. But they recognize these men as geniuses. Even if you want to go so far as Vincent van Gogh. For whatever you want to say about artists being crazy and looking at Kanye, Vincent van Gogh had a crush on a girl, and he was like, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what's gonna kill the game? Other people are sketching D-pics. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut off my real actual ear. I'm gonna put it in a box and I'm gonna mail it to her and be like, can you hear me now? Can you hear? I love you. That's what he did. Like, that makes sense, right? That's the type of thing. So if you're willing to cut your ear off and send it to a woman, I know for facts you have a track record, a habitual line-stepping track record of craziness. But we look past that for certain others and call them geniuses. Because they say, like, look, if you compare what this person has contributed to the world, how they have impacted our senses, we have to look past these other quirks and different things about them and respect the genius that they are. So yes, Kanye is crazy. He's crazy. But Kanye is crazy enough to believe that he can have a seat at the table of industries that have exploited Black bodies for centuries. Like, he went at the fashion industry and was like, I want to be equal with you. Like, you have to be crazy to even think that you can step into that place. I mean, in fact, College Dropout actually was the album that broke my thug phase. Kanye had, I wanted to be a thug. I wanted to be a gangster. You know what I'm saying? I was about that life. So I thought, because that was a representation of cool. That was a representation of you can't mess with me, or you have to take me a certain way, all these other different things. And I'm sure there were others out there, but Kanye West was the one that made it for me, because like, he was crazy enough to be a normal guy, like a regular guy, like cleverly crafting stories representing the daily life, woven into reimagined classics that probably contributed to my creation. Probably. That's genius. That's genius. And like, if you listen to Kanye West, he even gives me Elon Musk vibes sometimes. If you look, like, I know Kanye West is getting a divorce right now, and I don't want to say I'm happy because, like, you know, there's children and different things involved, but I hope he gets a really black woman next. I really hope he just gets him a country southern woman that just wants to love him and support him, so he doesn't have to like look to the world. Because again, the world should be more welcoming. They should have been more accepting. They should have been more supportive. We should have been more. When I say the world, the black world, like we should have always held Kanye in high regard, high esteem. He does crazy stuff with the president and all these other different things. He's bipolar. He's this. He's that. He's a genius. He just is. He doesn't think like the rest of us. So there's that one. And if you think that's spicy, I'm going next level spice. I'm going Super 7. I'm sorry, Super Saiyan level spice. And I'm just gonna jump in here. The next person that I'm going to talk about, as far as being unapologetically black, is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I'm always apprehensive to put the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want to give him the respect of saying his whole name, but obviously I'm fumbling through it. In my notes, I just put the initials. But yes, I'm just going to say Mr. Farrakhan. So the same reason I was apprehensive to put Mr. Farrakhan on this list of people for this year was the exact same reason I had to put him on this list, especially given the title. Every black person and black brand who attaches themselves to Louis Farrakhan stand the chance of losing their backing, their sponsorship, their job, you name it. But I put him here to explain the conundrum that black people find themselves in when supporting our own, especially. On the stage with the microphone, Minister Farrakhan is a preacher, he's a teacher, and he's an entertainer. I think you really have to understand that. Black people understand the things and the shenanigans that pastors and whatnot engage in to get people invigorated, excited, engaged. They say things, they speak in hyperbole, and these are things that happen. And again, I understand that the minister may be speaking and exaggerating certain things or saying certain things or doing certain things for shock value to engage the audience that he speaks to. And with that being said, he offends non-black people. I don't agree with everything that he says, so I understand why some non-black people would be offended. But for relevant context, I don't agree with everything that anyone says. So if I'm following anybody, there should be an understanding that I'm not just following you, just blindly believing that everything that you have said or done is right. I have friends that are terrible human beings, but they're good to me. So they are my friend, right? It is what it is. And I hope that me being around those friends would inspire them to be better people. I hope and I pray for that every day. But I look at the example of Jesus. Jesus rolled around with gangsters, people that he knew that, you know, if the worst comes to the worst, I need people to make a way for me. I need people to be able to be stone cold on this word of salvation. You know what I'm saying? One of his disciples was a tax collector. If you know what tax collecting was back in the day, tax collecting was, I'm going to kick down your door and I'm going to come in here and say, you owe the king tax, right? So this is for the kings, but I'm going to take a little bit for myself. NSARS started in Jesus' time is basically what I'm trying to tell you. But that part aside, again, I don't fully support everything that the minister says. But I would also hope and pray that people don't take my clips of my speeches and post them randomly without context. me say that again. I hope and I pray that people just don't take random words of mine, random speeches and different things that I've done, and just take a clip and put it somewhere and then denigrate everything about me and then play the clip. It's spicy, but that's a whole nother situation, right? Be careful what you say, be careful what you don't say. But the conundrum lies in what he does off stage. That's the problem. That's the issue, right? The minister is the leader of millions of black people under the Nation of Islam. He is responsible for untold numbers of jobs being created and lives turned around. Again, the Nation of Islam is behind decades of programs and projects dedicated to the upliftment of black people. I mean, he is a mentor and a supporter of so many artists and black influencers. He whispers in the ears of those we listen to, and he preaches to them not only the message of Allah, but of black unity. That man is valuable to us. That man is very valuable to us. When the world turned on Michael Jackson turned to the Nation of Islam to protect him. If any of you all remember Beyonce's Formation video, during Beyonce's Formation video, she basically called out police brutality. And when it was time for her to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, she wanted to do the video and whatnot of Formation that basically denounced police brutality. And the response of the police that were supposed to be providing security at the Super Bowl was like, we don't think we can protect her based on her views. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, don't worry. If you don't want to protect her, we will. And there's countless stories. Even if you go before the Honorable the Minister. Jesus, I'm going through so many things just thinking about it. But even you go before when the minister was there, I think it was Muhammad Ali had to lean on. I mean, we know he was converted, but like, you have stories of the Nation of Islam protecting these artists who were being chased by people trying to lynch them and different things. I believe it was Jack the boxer. I can't remember his name, something Jack. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But he's done a lot of amazing things for black people. So with that being said, if anyone other than black people, especially white or Jewish, has an issue with the minister, that's fair. I get it. But if you ask me to have a problem with the minister because you have a problem with him, then it gets tricky. Because the truth is, the minister has done more for me and us than the people he's probably offending. Let me say that again. He's done more for me than the people he's offending. His sacrifices and contributions have a value that cannot and should not be overlooked. The minister represents a future where black unity and independence exists. A future where people like Nick Cannon can't be torn down and wiped out overnight. Again, we need more of him. And I'm not going to abandon the hero we have over somebody else's hurt feelings. I'm just going to be honest. Disrespecting the minister does not sit well with me at all. Because again, I understand the sacrifices he's made and certain things that he's gone through. Again, on the behalf of me and people who look like me, I cannot let that go. And we as black people, we need to be more responsible with our cancel culture and how we deal with people and how we support our own people. Because again, as you can see, you can't cancel the minister because his is built up on us. He has a lot of us behind him. Single line, focused, understanding what's happening and what's going on. They cannot take him down like that. Let's replicate that. Let's support that. Let's support the minister. Again, I don't follow his faith. I don't particularly follow any faith. I follow God, which technically makes me a Muslim. But again, I don't claim the name of any faith. But again, I can follow men of God of any faith as long as they're doing right by my people. Amen. Amen. So the moral of the story is, that was my last one. The moral of the story today is that the work that these men did 10 or 15 years ago, sometimes 30, 40, 50 years ago, it benefits us today. And we don't have to wait 50 years to appreciate or rediscover their value. They're here today. In fact, we can contribute to their greatness today. We can ensure that their sacrifices aren't erased or washed away with time. Again, I am eternally grateful for Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat decades ago. But I'm thankful for Vice President Kamala Harris today. And when our feelings transition into actions, it would be exponentially more impactful if we put that behind people who are alive today, people who are active today. I appreciate the path, believe me, I do. But I want to contribute to the Black History Months to come. And I think we can do that. So again, let's be unapologetically Black. Please, I mentioned 5 different men. Again, that is David Banner. I'm going to save the best for my favorite one. Well, now let me just go in order. Shaun King, David Banner, Killer Mike, Kanye West, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These are 5 men that I want to pay homage to this month, and I want to support the history that they've already put into play on our behalf. It's Black History Month. It's also Black History Day. It's Black now. Amen. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this content, please do the nay on that subscribe button below to get alerts for more of these tutorials, content, and different things like that. Of course, go to burrowsenterprises.com for more resources and articles in the link below. And for those outside of Nigeria, follow me below on social media if you want to see what life in Lagos is like if you haven't been to the continent. Awesome and amazing. I love you all. Thank you.